good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Economic Development Commission meeting of Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. I'm going to start with roll call the meeting to order at 8:03. Roll call, Joelle Gibson, Christina Hudson here, Nicole Pa,
Here.
Nick Postiglione. Did I say that?
Postiglione.
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 Postiglione. All right, I'll get that next time.
He'll be arriving late.
Late, okay. But right now I hear Paula Shively,
Here.
Gary Skibba,
Here.
and Adrian Webb. All right, seeing how we have quorum, we'll go ahead and move on to the agenda approval. Hopefully all the commissioners had a moment to take a look at the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll motion to approve. A second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, agenda's approved. Now we open up to public comment. Is that right? You think I would know this by now, but yeah, public comment. Is there anybody online? Do you do online public comment or is it just in person?
Just in person.
Okay. thank
And
you
there's
for a
nobody
reminder.
online. Well, there's the chamber, staff in the chambers online.
All right, perfect.
Mhm.
All right, moving on to the meeting minutes of May 21st, 2025. Hopefully the commissioners had an opportunity to review the minutes for accuracy. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor to approve the minutes of May 21st, 2025, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes, or minutes passed. All right, and I guess we're on to the liaison reports.
I guess that's me. So sorry, all of Anywho, good morning. Liaison report. I would say that I'm in full swing for planning for summer events. We have our first big event next Thursday, which is Big Truck Day. I haven't looked ahead at the weather. I don't do that at this point because it changes and it jinxes it for me. That's typically a really great event. Even last year, it was a little damp in the morning and we saw about 300 or 400 people. The year before it was super sunny and we had about 700 people. More importantly, it's a great event for the community, but it's also a good event because it draws people. I give out goodie bags and the staff that assists always asks people where they come from. And I literally have people from Portland, Marysville, Bellingham, Roy Washington, every East Side city, every city on 18. So it's a good opportunity to bring people into our community that are visitors. So, and it's a really fun event. It's got a very large inclusivity element. It's hold the horn. And so for the first hour and a half, there's no horns. I'm also adding no lights so that kids have sensory issues, that they're not overwhelmed. And that park, Centennial Park, is also the home of an all-inclusive playground that we opened last year. So it's good to be part of a community that sees value in that. Also, I was talking with Commissioner Paz earlier. We opened the splash pad a couple of weeks ago. This is a good opportunity to say that there still has some work that has to be done. We have to bring in some shade structures. We're having a little bit of a mud issue. So we're going to be trying to fix that mud issue. So there might be some areas that might be temporarily closed or, under construction, hopefully not a full closure of the park. And we'll try to do that on weather days where we're not going to do it on a 95-degree day. We're going to try to do it on a cloudy day like this. That park has also been, Mother Nature did us a solid, and it was super great weather for the first week, that first weekend. And so a lot of people came. And again, another park that draws people. One day when I was there, I think it was the Monday after it opened, just talked to 6 people, and they were from Maple Valley, Falls City, North Bend, Sammamish, and Bellevue. So we're pulling those people in. I'm seeing people with Starbucks bags. I'm seeing people with Frankie's pizza boxes. So it's again, a really great park for our community, but it's also helping us draw people from outside the area. So I think that those are just kind of where I'm at in my life right now, is just summer events and just trying to support the other departments in the city that are trying to bring the services to everybody. Any questions? Okay, cool. Thanks.
Can I ask a question? How's the new website doing?
The Visit Snoqualmie website is doing well. We launched that last August, and little by little, we keep adding content to it, different pages, and that is a goal as we keep going, is to continue to build some of the visit tourist content to those pages. About 6 weeks ago, I did add a page for what we call micro venues and event venues. No Boat Brewing is one of them. Sigillo is one. I can't think off the top of my head, but there's some businesses in the area that are good for birthday parties or small events. So just trying to let people know that that's out there. So that's just an example of, as we are going along, we're building more content into that website.
Great, thank you. Thank you for letting me ask.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the next item of the agenda, we have new business and the Snoqualmie Valley School District presentation. I think it might be automatically on, but we'll see.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me here today. My name's Michelle Cheney, and I'm the Career and Technical Education Director for the Snoqualmie Valley School District. And I'm here today to talk a little bit about our CTE programs and what we offer at the high school. Career and Technical Education, of course, is a national um, program across the United States. We offer many programs in many different career clusters, such as agriculture, architecture, business and marketing, as you can see, hospitality and tourism, all of those areas. The studies show that kids who complete CTE, who complete a pathway within the CTE program, have a higher graduation rate. They're more likely to go to college and complete college, and they usually have a higher earning potential. Here's some basic facts about our programs in the Snoqualmie Valley School District. We offer 71 courses amongst many program areas and national career clusters. We have, sorry, I've repeated on my slide. Right now we serve, or this past school year for 24-25, we serve 1,796 students have taken a CTE course this year. And we have about 2,200 at the high school. And then our middle schools, we had about 447 students take CTE courses this year. So here's some of our courses that we offer and our pathways. We cover the 6 state pathways that we have in Washington State. Those pathways being agriculture, business and marketing, family consumer science, STEM, health sciences, and skilled and technical sciences. Right now, the state has a graduation requirement that every student across the state takes 1 or more credits in CTE, and that means 2 semesters, because each semester is usually a half a credit. Many of our courses offer equivalency credit. What that means is that they may count as a CTE credit, but they also count as a science or a math or an English. Many of our courses are dual credit, so they earn college credit in the high school at the same time that they're earning their high school credit. And a few years ago, I think it was 2019, the state passed a law that besides passing an English test or a math test to graduate, students who complete 2 or more credits in a CTE pathway can also use that as their graduation pathway. So within these 6 pathways, you'll see if a student completes 2 or more credits, that's 4 semesters in one pathway, that also counts for a graduation requirement. They have the ability to earn industry recognized certifications, and I'll show you what some of those are that our students earned this year. And then we also have middle school programs. In the Snoqualmie Valley School District, our middle school programs are a computer science pathway and then also a digital media pathway. And those pathways lead to some of the high school programs that I'll talk about. As you can see, we have a huge variety of courses, anywhere from horticulture to animal science, vet science, business. We have marketing, we have finance, economics, computer science courses. We have culinary arts, baking and pastries, psychology, engineering, health science, from biomedical courses to regular health courses. And then in skilled and technical sciences, that's a little bit of a mix. You have woodworking, we have construction trades, we have welding. We have a really big welding program at Mount Si High School, as well as our digital media programs within that. Here's just a few pictures of our students at work in some of our programs. We have some, you can see the kids on the ceramic wheels. That also counts as an art credit. So once again, they're getting a CTE credit as well as that art credit in one class. You can see our welding students up to the second picture up on the top. We have some biomed kids that are dissecting a sheep's brain there. Our robotics kids in their robotics field, creating their robotic robots for their competitions. We have some film students. That's our student store there in the bottom middle, where students run the store during lunchtime. And then our culinary program, where they have a cafe that they have open during lunchtime, as well as cater for different events around the city. So this year, one of the big things that our students earn within CT programs are industry recognized certifications. These are certifications that students can take with them once they graduate, bring to an employer. It shows the employer what skills they have and what knowledge they have. And these are anything from national certifications to local ones. And these are some examples of the certifications our kids learned this year. As of yesterday, our kids at the high school, these are all high school certifications at Mount Si High School, 1,475 industry certifications were earned.
Just this year?
Just this year. Yep, for the whole school year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that is an amazing number for
Yeah.
us, and we're just super excited. Yes,
Do you want questions during or?
either way.
I'm not sure I understand what an industry, oh, sorry, thank you. I'm not sure I understand what an industry certification is. Those are examples, the bullets?
These are the actual industry certifications that our students have earned this year. So for instance, the Adobe Certified Associate, that is a national, that is well known in the field, Adobe certified. They were certified in either Illustrator, Premiere Pro, all the different Adobe products. So what that means is they take a test and they have that knowledge and competency to earn that certification.
That one was obvious to me too.
Yep.
But the CPRs, I guess maybe the one that caught my attention is the last bullet on the right.
Use Science.
So they get a certificate in welding?
Yes. Use Science is a company that has that is used within CTE quite nationally, where they earn different certifications. They have certifications in everything in Use Science, but specifically welding, they got a certification in welding. As you know, the welding certification, they have to be 18 years and older to earn, and many of our students are not 18 yet. So this Use Science certification still shows their competencies and their knowledge and their skill, but someone who is not 18 can earn this one.
Okay.
It's very interesting because on the back of those certifications, it will state all the competencies that they showed and that they know and their skills. So a student can take that certification to an employer and say, I have taken these courses in high school. This is the certifications that I've earned. These are the competencies that I know.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we're really, really proud of our students and all the different certifications that they have earned this year.
So just one last question. This is interesting. The bullets are those that were earned.
Yes.
I don't need to know them all, but I mean, how many certifications are there?
How many, like, just, I don't know, there's thousands.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's a large number.
yes.
Okay.
But these are the ones that we have earned this year. We're always looking for, what do our local employers want?
That's-
What
That
certifications
was one
are?
of the direction I was
Yes.
headed, so.
What certifications are our local employers wanting of their employees, and what can we incorporate into our classes
How do you get that? Where's that?
from our business members? So we have advisory committees within our program. So 3 times a year, local business partners come to the high school
Mhm.
and meet with our instructors and then discuss, what are our kids' skills? What skills do our kids need? What do employers want students or future employees to have to come into their business and
Gotcha.
be,
That was the root of my, I just
yes,
got it.
yes.
That's great. Thank you.
Within CTE, one thing that makes us a little bit different than a regular general ed class is that we have what's called an extended leadership component. And that could be anywhere, anything from just a club to a national student organization. At Mount Si High School, we have DECA. Some of you may be familiar with DECA. That's the marketing student organization. We have Skills USA. We have the Washington Sports Med Association, Student Association. Next year we will have HOSA, which is a health science student organization. And all of these organizations really give our kids that extra, extra step up where they gain those leadership and employability skills. You would be amazed if you ever were a judge at one of the conferences and competitions of what these kids can show there. Just their confidence, their ability to public speak, to present a product, all across from knowing in FFA, for instance, and knowing all of the vet tools that a vet or a vet tech would use. And so they do amazing things in these clubs and really give the students that confidence to kind of put themselves out there. Community and business partnerships is really what makes our programs different. Those partnerships within CTE is an essential component of our programs, where we not only do we bring advisors in 3 times a year to talk to our instructors and to look at our curriculum and our skills that our students are learning, but also getting our students out into the job fields and out into the businesses, local businesses. So we often will have tours of local businesses. You can see one here. This was a Legion, where our students went down and toured the facility. But the more we can get our students out and have the experience of, what do the different companies look like? What do their facilities look like? What types of jobs can I get here? That's really the experiences that we're looking for our students. In CTE world, we call this work-based learning. And these are the different types of work-based learning activities that our students in CTE programs get, and that we hope they will experience before leaving high school. Oftentimes, we will have guest speakers within our classrooms. We also have structured field trips, as you saw there. Mentors, we bring in mentors for students either to help them within their student leadership organizations to help prepare them for these competitions and presentations that they do, or we bring in mentors to help students just learn about different fields in the different pathways. We have several school-based enterprises. We have the cafe, we have the student store, we have the greenhouse, just to name a few. And then job shadows. Job shadows, internships, this is really where our next step of where we want to go with CTE in Snoqualmie Valley is getting those job shadow opportunities and internship opportunities for our students. How can we get our students those real world experiences and skills that they can't just get in a classroom, that they can get within an industry or a company or a local business here? And so that's what we really are looking to start offering for our students. And so at the end, I'll have a little QR code if anyone is interested in helping us develop those job shadows and internships. We would be more than happy to partner with our local businesses here in Snoqualmie Valley and North Bend.
How do you do that now? How do you reach out? Is
A-
that through that same?
It's sometimes it's through our instructors who bring in guest speakers or different companies that they work with, and they'll have those businesses will offer some opportunities to our students. Sometimes it's just local businesses reaching out to our career center at the high school and saying, hey, I have this opportunity for a student. Do you have someone that may fit our needs? But really, we would like to grow that to more a continual basis. So some ideas, our kids get out at 12:30 on Fridays. Could we do job shadow Fridays? Could we really offer more internships where it's part of a class? So our welding students who get through our advanced welding program, can we then set them up with an internship for 20, 50 hours for the semester for them to get those experiences?
Are you constrained to the valley on these job shadow and internships, or?
Well, it's, one of the barriers is transportation for our students, and if it's out of the valley, how do we get our students to those opportunities? So within the valley, it seems to be a little simpler, easier for our kids to access, but that doesn't mean that out of the valley can't happen either.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have a question on the internship. So I know like for smaller businesses, like bringing on an intern, I mean, it's just more than just having someone there. You need to guide them. And
Yes.
what is the, and I hate to use this word with internships because I think it's a great idea. What's the burden on the company of what they need to do to make sure they're checking off all the boxes for internships?
I would say really being that person that is willing to have the time to guide a student, to explain to them what they're doing. If you're bringing somebody in, intern in, and you have maybe an idea for a project that they can work with, really it depends on the student, how much guidance you need to give them and how much a student can just run with it. you
Yeah,
know.
I guess I meant more like reporting. Do they pay them? Like what's outside of the regular?
There are internships that are paid and unpaid.
Yeah. Okay.
It really just depends on the organization and what they would like to offer. We do have our own vetting that we do. So we do background checks and things like that on the person who would be the main person that a student would be working with.
So what I'm hearing is that should not be a barrier to
No,
having that program. Because
no.
a lot of people think internships and like, oh, I got to do the reporting. I got to make sure they're like outside of just teaching that.
Right.
A lot
The
of the
teacher-
administrative part of that.
Yes,
right?
and the teacher would be there, or the teacher, or we also have a worksite learning coordinator. You might know her, Chrissy, over at Two Rivers, where they do a lot of internships. There is like paperwork to do, but it's not overwhelming.
Got it.
It's just really that that information, that background information. And what having clear goals for a student is really important. What are your clear goals? Where do you want them to, what do you want them to come out with at the end? And whether that's a project or a specific amount of skills, or really just depends.
How-
All right, thank you.
How, I'm gonna make an assumption which could be wrong. Summer, I would imagine there's no engagement going on around this.
There is not. There are summer programs out there in different districts, but we do not have a summer program
Mm.
at this time. That doesn't mean that we can't move to a summer program, but then there's the staffing piece that goes with that. And then just the organization of that in the summer.
I'm just thinking about timing,
Yep.
like sometimes things pick up quite a bit in the summer and they're. gonna,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. And I spoke about advisories a little bit earlier about how our advisory partners come together with our teachers to talk about curriculum, skills that our future employees would need to have, and what should we be teaching within a high school. And if you are a person who's interested in being part of our advisory members, we're always looking for new advisory members. So you saw the 6 pathways earlier in my presentation. We have courses within all of those pathways, and those are the folks that we need.
I would love to help with that. I spent 7 years on the Elma Washington CTE Advisory Committee at my last role, and I can see just how much value this brings to the students. So I'd love to help with that.
Oh, I
can give you
would
my
love
card
that.
before you leave.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. If anyone else is interested, just a few more facts about our seniors, and then I'll have a little QR code that if you're interested to please contact me. And you can always find my email on the Snoqualmie Valley School District site under programs and career and technical education. My contact information is there. But here's a few facts this is a senior survey that was given right before seniors left last week about what their future plans are. And these are, you can see about more than half, and 500 plus students. Most of them say 4-year college, but we do have students going to community college, tech and trade schools, apprenticeships, military mission trips, some going straight to work, some taking a gap year. And then our TLC program is for our students with special needs who just need to be at school a little bit longer, and they get employability skills within that program. And so it's a really great program also.
See graduates.
I knew you were going to ask me that. 500 and something.
Oh, it's, okay.
Yes, it's quite.
I'm assuming that's not all of them.
Yeah, no, those are only the students who answered the survey. So there were a few who didn't answer the survey, but for the most part, that's where they're going.
What's the total enrollment at the high school?
About 2,200.
So more than half are enrolled in CTE programs.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
Well, it's a graduation
It
requirement.
is a
that they have to
graduation requirement, and by the time, because we have a 7-period day, students have time their junior and senior year to really take classes in programs where their interests are, to find out what they want to do. And that's what the 7-period day really does for our students, and that's why it's so important for CTE.
But the graduation requirement is 1 credit.
Yes,
But you had 1,400 plus certifications.
yep.
So those are people doing more than the graduation requirement.
And for this year, we had 1,796 students, I believe, who took a CTE course this year, whether it's for 1 semester or the full year. So you can see that whether they're taking CTE courses beyond their requirements,
Yeah.
because they're hands-on courses where they're learning skills and in areas that they're interested in.
Michelle?
Do you, oh,
Oh, go ahead. I just wanted to squeak.
do you feel this is resourced properly?
Do people know about it?
No.
No.
As you go, I'm assuming you're very close to this, giving the presentation.
Yes.
As somebody who's that close to it, do you feel it's resourced properly?
What does that mean?
It could be resourced much better. I think that people just don't know what kids are able to take in high school and don't know the skills that our students are learning. And that's why presenting to groups like this, presenting to the chamber, all of that is super important for people in our area specifically to know what our kids particular, what are our kids learning and what skills do they have that they could fulfill the needs of our area and the employment needs.
The reason I ask is, I have No Boat Brewing Company.
Mhm.
And I think we were just looking at this from an administrative standpoint. I think out of the last 15 to 20 employees that we've had over the last 10 years or so, probably 2/3 of them have been Mount Si graduates. Most of them, in fact, I think all, but I'll just say most, are college graduates. Most of them are 25 and 26 and still looking for a job, which I think is a current economic issue, et cetera, et cetera. I know there's a bigger
Absolutely.
picture to that. But I have some of your cum laude people, and I have some people with chemistry degrees, and I have lawyers that work for me. And it's amazing to me that they didn't really get an orientation towards really where they wanted to be. And I'm not putting that on the high school,
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, but that's why I'm curious about the resourcing side of this, because obviously I see our senators and different people, and this is really interesting to me because I'm seeing it kind of firsthand through my staff.
Mhm.
And more of needs to be done. And Nick's not here with Noble Plumbing, and I know he's more of a trades person. But boy, the trade side, as we know just from national news, you don't have to dig too deep
Yep.
to see there's such opportunity
Yes.
and all that good stuff. That's why I was curious if you felt like it was.
I think
resourced.
it's still prevalent that kids feel like they have to go to a four-year college. I think that CTE kind of ebbs and flows. It's all about CTE, and then it kind of goes off. It's all about going to that four-year college, and we're kind of on the upswing again because people are realizing you don't have to go get a four-year degree to get a really good paying living wage job. You can get certifications, you can go to a tech school, you can get an apprenticeship. And so I really feel like that's coming back. A lot of our kids are I have some examples in welding that people are calling our instructor, asking him who's graduating, who is ready to come work for us right now.
Hmm.
And so people are reaching out.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Gary, I think to your point, I recently hired a marketing specialist and it requires a 4-year degree. I had 85 qualified applicants vying
Yes.
for my one position.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking, right? There's so many people looking for jobs and there's just not enough out there. So that was really tough for us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, it's a tough job market right now.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the younger generation is definitely feeling it the most, but
yes.
that's probably not abnormal. That's usually where it gets felt
Mhm.
initially anyway, but
Right.
yeah. No, this is great stuff.
Evan, before you leave, because I know you're talking about resources and getting the word out, does the school district have like Marcom? And like, I can see this being a really nice article in like 425 Business or something like that about what the CTE program does, just to raise awareness and some company testimonials. Is that something the school district has ever done?
We do we do a lot of social media about our programs. But if you're not on the Snoqualmie Valley Facebook or Instagram, you probably don't see it.
'Cause this is a story, just
Could
to
be a really fun,
Yeah.
it could be a really fun project for the marketing students to market their own
Oh,
program.
look at that. Yeah,
Yes.
build those press relationships.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This is my third year here at the district, and we're just continuing to grow and do more and more and get our word, get our story out there about our programs. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to come here today and talk about our programs. And if anyone has any questions, please just contact me.
I'm curious, and maybe this is sort of a silly question, but have you ever talked with students? So from this committee's perspective, we're trying to figure out how to keep people here
Yes.
working in Snoqualmie Valley. Do you talk with the students about, do they want to stay in this area, or do most of them want to get away into the bigger world?
I would say probably our career counselors and teachers have a better feel for that than I do, but I would say most of them want to stay and come back.
Hmm.
Yeah. People like it here, and people stay, as you can see. I mean, just at our high school alone, people, we have teachers that went to high school there and came back and teach there, and their families are here, and people tend to stay, I think, in the valley. And so, yes, we need more opportunity
Yeah.
for people here in the valley to stay and make a living wage. And our students definitely, I hope, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Any more questions? All right, well, thank you very much for your time today, and thank you for what you do for our community.
Well,
You
thank
are
you so much
appreciated.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda is old business, and on the agenda is business visit discussion and review of questions, which I missed the last two meetings, so I know I see the see the questions. Is there action items here, Mona or Nicole?
I thought we were waiting for the revised set of questions.
And we have those in the packet. So
Oh,
those are on
I'm
the last
sorry.
page of
They
your
look very
packet.
similar to the
Mhm.
old.
And those
think
were
I
the
didn't
questions
fire
that
them. There we go.
Nick had put together at the last meeting and
Right.
emailed to Nicole, and then we put those in to discuss today.
I will say, when I looked at this and started to include it in the packet, there's less questions here than the first version, but there's still quite a few. So I don't know if you guys want to edit that a little bit more, completely up to you. But we also thought today we would leave here with, here's the questions, or we'll send you the final draft of the questions, but also um, action items for you guys would be to get back to Mona and I of what are the businesses that you want to reach out to. Let us know what those are, so we make sure that there's no duplicity between you guys. And then have you all go out
Friends and scholars.
and do that. And then we'll set a deadline of when that is. But that was our goal for this bullet item
So we're
today.
changing it from the round tables to we're all
Yes.
individually going
Okay.
to businesses of our choice.
So historically, the Economic Development Commission has done the business
Yeah, I understand
visit,
that.
and then we, kind of went to the roundtable format, which I think was great information to get. But
Mm-hmm.
now we'll go back to the origin of the business visits.
Will we maybe rotate both types of getting information going forward? Because I feel like there's a lot of value in both ways of
Yeah.
doing that.
Well, and the business climate changes, we've got some new businesses coming in even this year. And so to try to, learn from them. So yeah,
Mhm.
we could, as long as we want it to be relevant and we don't want it to become stale. I think that's a good point.
So in my career, we do a lot of business walks, like we say, where we go and visit personally the businesses. There's a lot of introductory before that. So is that something you want us to do? Like say, find the owner and say, hey, we're coming by at this date and time.
Yeah.
You want us to do it. That's not something that you guys are going to do. So we have to do that.
We want you guys, we don't want to tell you who to go to because you all have personal relationships and maybe feel more, it's not a cold call situation. We're not expecting that. But if there's someone that maybe and you'd like to dive deep a little bit more and you can have an in-depth conversation with each other, or if it's just a business that you're interested in learning more about, it's an opportunity for you as ambassadors to go out and speak to these businesses, because often they hold back if it's staff, or they hold back even more if it's an elected official. So they can talk more openly with you, and then you guys can maybe edit that a little bit, to protect their anonymity, but still get the message across.
So I know we have some new members on the commission. I think if we happen, or one of the newer commissioners go to someone who has already participated, I think we need to have, we heard this last year, and here's our responses, or here's what we've done, if it's something in our power.
Yeah.
to do. I think the important part of building a relationship, which is, I think, is what the end goal is here, is to say, hey, we heard you last time, and here's what we did, or here's our suggestions to you.
Yeah.
And I think we need that as a piece, because if you keep asking questions and not having any
I-
answers, then you're not going to be valued as a trusted partner.
That's news to me. I didn't know that. This was done in last year.
Last year we did roundtables. We did the business park. We did Ridge businesses and downtown business. We called them roundtables. In prior year or in
The year
20
before.
year before, we, some of the commissioners did the work, and I mean, I'm here to say that as a city, we dropped the ball and didn't get that information from the EDC commissioners as far as of getting that feedback and collating it and coming up with a synopsis. But this program has been done, last time it was done, I think effectively was pre-COVID, probably the 2018, 2019. And COVID kind of threw a
Mhm.
wrench into things, but that's the history of getting out there and talking with
So there's a
businesses.
history of sampling,
Mhm,
and that's what you're referring to.
Correct.
mhm.
Do we have access to that? I think that's kind of important.
I think what she was saying was they, so I was part of that in 2023 was the first year that I was on the commission. And I went to Down to Earth and just had a conversation, or not Down to Earth, sorry, the Crystal Shop on Center Boulevard.
Oh, Earthlight Gems.
Yes, Earth. I knew that was in the title. And just had a conversation and kind of tried to hit on some of the questions that we had. And then I think I just put that in an email and tossed it back to the city. And so I think that's where we're trying to get a little bit more refined this year by having that Google form where we can put the information into certain categories so that we can then summarize the data and info and have it be more of like a structured report back. So that was the last interaction I had with it, aside from the roundtables.
I would request there's some sort of follow-up too. Like,
Yeah.
thank you for your time. We heard you. Here's what we're doing, or
Mhm.
here's what the city's doing. Like, I think it's got to be more than just asking questions, because these businesses have been we've been asking questions.
Yeah.
We, being this commission, the city,
And
I
the
for
think-
years and years. Yeah.
I think that we did that with the roundtables, throughout the year, we heard some things and we were able to react and to make some improvements and changes, which I think we've communicated at different outreach, different merchant groups, that kind of thing. But I think that's a good point to close that loop is probably what you're.
Well,
you're
building a
meaning.
relationship.
And
So
yeah.
economic development, which it's all about relationships. That's at the end of the day. So you want to make sure I'm hearing you. And I think that was what I really enjoyed about the roundtable, was that the business owners could bounce off of each other, say, oh, hey, I'm having that problem too. And I know that you may feel that there was a barrier, but you had a lot of expertise in the room at the same time, and they were getting instant feedback from a variety of sources. In this case, which is fine to pivot to something different, I think there would just need to be significant follow-up by like the city, in other meetings saying that, yeah, we heard you, here's the answers to your question.
I'm gonna feign last month was my first day.
You're not feigning, it's a
So I'm,
fact.
this is actually a learning for me because I wasn't aware. I thought this was the first time this had been done
Yeah.
in any kind of a focused effort. It's interesting, and this could be on me, but I don't understand the mission of this. The purpose, like, are we trying to find what the next golden nugget is in the business community, and therefore we as a city or as a commission can nurture that to make it happen? Or is it seems to me this can go in a lot of directions as it relates to results, which is somewhat dangerous in my opinion. When I think about the 10 business people I know who are very hard to get, and when I do get them, it's a matter of time and why am I doing this and that type of thing, which there's nothing wrong with that, because if you give them the appropriate mission, thought process, whatever, they're going to give you the time. So it's not a fear of success. It's probably a fear of why. And do we have that nailed as an approach to this? And if we don't,
As to
that's
why we're
okay.
doing the outreach.
I mean, is it somebody, I'm going to make this up.
I can tell you what it should be, but I'm anxious.
No, I can tell you what it should be too. But at the end of the day, is it a case of we've got council members and the mayor that want to sit here and go, wow, I didn't know that was a hot button. Wow. Or is it really driven more of that? Is that what's driving this? Am I making sense? Because
You're making sense.
yeah, I mean, if I'm going to go after something in my business, I'm going to have a goal in mind,
Mhm.
right? And I'm going to be identifying certain things that I want to get my hands around. When we were doing the Q&A kind of build last month, I actually walked away from that like, wow, okay, maybe we haven't thought about this enough. Because, at the end of the day, if I'm going to meet with a business leader, I'm going to start with one open-ended question, and I'm going to probably come out of there with 30 different things that are really a hot topic with that business owner or business persons. And some of it'll be filtered out and some of it'll be, wow, this is interesting stuff, especially as it relates to what the goal is.
Mhm.
That I don't know if that's really being super clear. I'm not exactly a marketing strategist, but I do see the value of this. It's just the framework might be pretty important.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, knowing what goal you're trying to achieve and then building it from there. And I think, again, when we're looking at these questions, and to your point, I think having like a tree, because we don't need to ask all these people, all these questions to all the businesses that you're talking with, because they may not have a workforce issue. So they might go down a different, branch on the tree.
Yeah.
So I think, and it's going to be dynamic, because they could be talking about something totally different.
Mhm.
And we need to make sure we're listening, whether it's something that City of Snoqualmie can control or not. It's knowing what our businesses are facing. And then coming back and saying, again, we heard you, here's some resources for you. It's some kind of follow-up to each and every conversation, which I feel for the city, it'd be easier if we did it all in one room. But if you want us to do it one-on-one, that's just more work for y'all. So what is the end goal? What would you like the result of this to be?
Now
Well,
give
I'll
the
jump
phone
in
to
here.
Take a stab.
I am super new too, so this is all new to me. I was at one roundtable last year and
Yeah.
it was a great meeting. So I was encouraged by that. But then I think we were hearing we may be losing businesses. It's hard to attract employees to come into Snoqualmie. There's no place really to live for affordable workforce housing. Um, we're hearing our businesses are struggling. I think that's what prompted us to start the business visits again so that we could kind of understand like what are businesses looking at, looking ahead. But having not been here,
Mm.
previously, I don't know exactly how the last business visit questions, came to be or what the outcome was. But I definitely agree that there needs to be some follow-up because if we're going to the effort to go talk to our businesses and try to understand more about the dynamics of their staff and, their outlook into the future, we definitely need to have some follow-up on that, which I think we're all for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wishing that Councilmember Watton was in the room today because he had been part of the original business visit plan in the 2018-19 time period. So we've been given this direction by leadership. What was that?
Online and raised his hand as well. Just wanted you to know.
Who's on there?
Nick.
Oh, please.
Oh, Nick is on.
I don't
Sorry, I
see
didn't
Nick
mean to
on
interrupt
there.
what you were saying.
No. I'm
All right, Nick, I think we're trying to get your microphone. If you want to say something, I think your hand's up. Oh, it says 6-7. Did he just?
Hey,
Oh, there you are.
I got added. I got added as a panelist. I feel super special. Sorry I joined a little bit late. I think very good question. What's the point of it, right? We're not doing work just to stay busy. Um, if I was to understand this correctly after talking to Rob, though, the point of this is to be able to dig up stuff that is easily fixable, or maybe not easily fixable, and get it on the city's map. I think a good example was my first meeting. Uh, that I can't remember her name, that business owner that had an issue with the color palettes the city allowed, right, for her business in downtown, and she petitioned and it got updated, I believe. Right, Mona? I believe that was
Yes.
updated,
Yeah, that
right?
was
And like that
actually with June and Jem.
small thing, but it's something that came out of these discussions. I've had, I don't want to say issues with the city, but like I've had my own, like, oh, the permanent process, right? I would love a chance to like vocalize that to the council and say, hey, can we have a different software platform or whatever it might be, or a better process on how the city approves and processes permits to turn them around faster, right? And I think it's digging up nuggets like that the city can take action on, delegate it to the appropriate department or whatever it might be, oh, staffing issues over here. I have a hard time getting in touch with somebody, or this part could be a little bit more efficient or cleaner for business owners. I think that's the point of this. And I don't know how well I'm articulating that, but I think the purpose of this is to find issues that are easily fixable, or at least put it on the radar of city council and the department leads, I guess, within the city. Is that maybe helpful, or does that sound right? That was my perspective on what the point of this is.
I think that's the deliverable component. I think at the end of the day, and I'll just reiterate it because this has been my career for 30 years, economic development is about relationships, building the relationships between the cities and the businesses so they are comfortable coming to you. And I feel like we are the messengers of that, because we want to know when things are going wrong, or if there's a permit issue or a zoning or codes or whatever needs to be changed for them to be successful. They need to feel comfortable coming to you. And I feel like we're the entry point to that, but at the end of the day, the relationship needs to be solidified between the business community and the city. And that comes from the listening to you, and then the action items. So again, is like the color palette that also came up at our roundtable discussion too, but it was something that the city could actually do. And if we can't do, we should be providing resources again.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the city is definitely, trying to figure out ways to be out there. Um, I personally, am trying to figure out my way here. We have no staff really in community development. So we're trying to rebuild the department. I've had several meetings with our mayor, talking specifically about like, what does EDC do? What's the point of the meetings? What's the goal here? So recently she suggested, the business visits were a great way to have outreach with the economic development commissioners, and that maybe we could try that again since we had the roundtables last year. And so I think that's how this came up. If I recall, we just in me asking more questions maybe prompted, other ideas of ways that we can, be out there and get involved with our businesses. I also reached out to Kelly at the chamber just recently, and said like, be good to maybe have you come and, be more involved in our Economic Development Commission. And I see that we do have Michelle from the chamber online today. So I think it's just ways that we're looking for, we're hearing from our businesses. To Nicole's point, it would be good to have Councilmember Watton here today, because him and I have been working hard to figure out like workforce housing, for example, because we're hearing, people do want to come back. They graduate from these programs, go to college or not, or they just want to stay in the Valley and they want to work and live here. And that's what we're continually hearing, that businesses are having a hard time attracting employees because there's really no affordable living here. And so I think those were the kinds of things we just thought it would be a great way for the commissioners and staff to be out there, reach out to our local businesses, and bring back information that might be helpful that we could all collaborate at a later meeting this year.
This is open forum right now, correct?
Yes.
It sounds like the roundtables had success attached to it. And I'm trying to figure out why that's not continued. Did it just burn itself out, or?
Sounds like it was a leadership direction, changing from the roundtables to the one-on-one stuff.
I think we were just trying to maybe alternate.
Yeah.
If I was only, like I
That's-
said,
we
here
went
for
to
the
the
one
roundtable,
roundtable.
the-
It was a great meeting, but
The
I-
one-on walks weren't as successful, and that's why we went.
The other thing I think it's worth noting, and some of you have been contacted, the city's doing a strategic plan right now. And so there's been, the consultant agency that's doing that has reached out to a lot of you. And so I'm just wondering, is there, I can't think of the right word at 9 o'clock in the morning. Is there burnout? Like is there too many conversations, too many people coming? Like, do we need to take a pause? Like we did the roundtables. We've got the strategic plan conversations going on. Should we take that information from those and help? Like, do we need to take a pause?
That's a great question. I'll comment on that. I firmly believe that business community leaders, business people like to talk about their business. I firmly believe they like to talk about their challenges in their business because at the end of the day, especially when you're in that smaller business arena, you don't have committees of staff to deal with issues. You have component partners, whether it's with the city or other businesses, et cetera. So I don't think it's a burnout issue. I think one comment that was said earlier is probably a results issue, meaning if I'm going to sit and I'm going to make this up, but if I'm going to talk about my supply chain challenges, and here's how the city of Snoqualmie, the valley, my community could help, assist, participate, whatever, the issue might be. I'm going to want to talk about that. I'm going to want to discuss it. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't do me any good to just grab some stranger off the street and talk to them about it, because after the conversation's over, it's going to be over. That's probably at the root of anything that we do or how we do it. It's that simple.
So instead of burnout, it's a lot of questions, a lot of conversations, kind of the same people, repetition, but then where are the results? What is the city hearing us, and are
Well,
we
it's an
able to-
axiom, right? It's
Yeah.
like if you just keep doing the same thing over and over, we all know what the end result is, right? If it's not driving anything. And I'm not critiquing anything that's been done under that light. I'm just saying that what we should be doing is have a real firm environmental mission on what we would like to achieve. I'm going to make some stuff up here just to make my point. If it's about codes, building codes, I heard Nick mention permitting. If the goal is to, hey, we got so many businesses going through the permitting process for whatever, and we keep getting some negative feedback, or we get this, or we get, let's get those businesses that are enduring that, get them together and talk about what the challenges are and where the city, because this is probably more of a city thing, could do to enhance it, improve it, change it, whatever, make it more seamless.
Great
I don't
feedback.
know, I don't have that problem, but I'm just saying, I'm just creating an environment. I think that's fruitful.
Mhm.
It's helpful.
Right. I mean,
Uh,
we heard that at the last roundtable, right? About even the color palettes,
Yeah, and so that's why I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's why I asked about the roundtables. It sounds like maybe some good things came out of that.
Mhm.
Those are the follow-throughs. Those are the, hey, this is what we've done or what we couldn't get done. Let's talk housing. Well, at the end of the day, the city's got these lever points, and after that, it becomes the county, state, fed, and then you're going to educate your community. You're gonna educate me as a business owner when legislatures want to call on me and say, hey, how's it going? I say, well, it's going great. The city's all behind getting this solved, but the county, the state, whatever, that's building your community and strengthening it.
Right on. I'm just so excited that you
Well,
said that.
and I think we know businesses, the challenges, rising costs. So if we're saying, hey, we know it's rising costs, we're going to the state to get this help, knowing that this is our biggest issue, or I mean, we could basically answer those questions probably for 90% of the businesses in this community. So if we don't have an answer to what we're trying to like get out of it, I think that's the part where it's like there's certain things like rising costs, we can't do anything about it. Sorry. So, but or there's hey, we're going to the state. We know we hear you. We already know that that's an issue, and here's what we're combating. Like we just want more details on how we should go about it. And those types of things. Like we kind of already know just from all the stuff we've done what the challenges are in this business environment. So, so I think that's the part is there's nothing we can do about it. There's not a lot of reason to gather the data. If there are some levers that we can pull, I think then that's super important to go out and find out exactly which businesses we're pinpointing or which industries we're trying to attract, or if there's an end goal that we feel like we have a way to solve. I think that's really important. If it's just, hey, let's gather some info, I can already tell you rising costs, housing, employee, it's like we know the challenges, right? So that's the part where if there's something we can kind of do on another level, the state or federal, then I think it could be valuable.
Yeah, I agree. And our small business owners, especially with the state revenue package, was just signed on May 20th. Significant cost increases for our small businesses. And if they're doing everything they can to stay alive right now, they're trying to keep it open as long as possible. Like I know, like lunches, I know there's in other East Side communities, they're not even doing full service now. They're just doing takeout because it's a way that they can keep their businesses open. At this point, if you're going to be taking time from a business owner, and you were talking about burnout, but instead of saying burnout, I think it's maximize every moment of their time.
Right.
they don't, a time spent with us is a time they're not making money to keep their employees hired. So we want to make sure we value that and we understand that. You were mentioning a strategic plan. So from my experience, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when cities go through a strategic plan, there is a consultant, they talk to businesses anyways. So maybe there's and I hate that phrase, kill two birds with one stone, but a better phrase than that, but that's what I mean. Like, look, can we accomplish both tasks? Is economic development going to be a part of this strategic plan? And also, what is the timeline of this strategic plan?
Yes, it is. There's some focus groups right now on both residents, both Ridge and downtown. If you know anybody that lives downtown who also doesn't have a downtown business and wants to participate, we're looking for some more bandwidth with that group. There are also some meetings with Ridge businesses and downtown businesses. They're also trying to do some targeted groups with the different cultures that we have in the community. I haven't seen the list of questions myself, but those are encompassed. And just the fact alone that they're having these meetings with the businesses is moving the direction of the economic development questions. So, this happened quickly. This strategic plan, this contracting, getting it done in the community service. It's got a very aggressive but doable timeline. I think basically one side of the house was doing that and one side of the house was doing economic development, business visits, and maybe the two houses weren't necessarily talking to one another. So maybe we pause this and I'm seeing some nods.
Yeah. Yes, please.
So maybe we pause this and let the results of the strategic plan kind of float to the surface and tell us what it tells us, and we can take that and then maybe we revisit what's the best outreach with our business community. It sounds like you guys really liked the roundtable, and that I think is a maximizing moment, right? If we can bring everybody into a room together for an hour and a half versus having you guys carve time out of your business lives to then go meet people. And I think people in a smaller setting might be more forthcoming. On the other hand, in a bigger setting, people might feel empowered or someone might say something that they agree on and it spurs a conversation. So there can be energy in the room.
I think if anything, we can encourage better participation. Like we only had
Right.
6 businesses or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So if we use our time to really push on
Your time to help
inviting-
get them
as
here.
our time to like say, hey, let's get you here.
Yeah.
It's something that we want to bring people together and talk about different things. I think participation is the most important part of that whole thing.
And I think we started roundtables. We did one each for the different areas, but let's build on that and maybe pick a topic instead of the come tell us your struggles. How about we say, we're gonna do a roundtable. We're gonna focus on permitting or housing or traffic or whatever our topic is. Maybe that will encourage more people to attend rather than these questions
Could
that
also
we
be
keep
sector.
seeming to ask.
Get a bunch of restaurants in the room and retail establishments. 'Cause
Right.
they would have similar
Right.
concerns and might be able to learn from each
Help each
other.
other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think there's some richness in this conversation, at least in my ears. And I'm thinking about your merchant meetings, especially the one that I participated in. I know I haven't been in a while, but up on the Ridge.
Yeah, Gary.
That, I know. That forum has energy in it. It has moments where it's not so energetic and other times where boom, you've hit on a sweet spot with
Yeah.
something, right? And I think
I
that,
think we use the word nugget in those meetings,
well,
right?
for sure, yeah, yeah.
Tasting.
Yeah, yeah. But there's so many directions that each business may want this community to go in, and we all know every option's not going to happen.
Right.
But it gives us a window into larger groups of people where we see common themes of things that need to be addressed or could be addressed. You've got resources of the business community in a roundtable environment. You got the resources of the city or any other outside external entities that can help participate. I think that has tremendous value. I really do. I know the challenge, and trust me, that you get a little boiling pot going and then all of a sudden but that's where we need a good mediator, somebody to kind of keep us on task and focus. And that's why I like the idea of topical roundtables. Great idea, but next meeting kind of thing, right? Yeah. I just think it'd be richer. I mean, I'm gonna say right now that can I go out and talk to 5, 6, 7, 10 businesses? Sure. I don't even know what the timeline is on this thing, but I can tell you right now. Summer's a lousy time to start a survey
Yeah.
because lots of people are gone and,
Yeah.
you know, some businesses, this is their window to be out of town to get stuff done. That's
Or it's their window to really capitalize on the busyness and
they're
the tourism.
busy as
Like
all
this
get
is
out
where they
because
make their
it's seasonal.
money,
It's seasonal.
which tides them, holds them over in the wintertime.
Sure, yeah, and so I'm not even sure I knew what the timeline was, but it sounded like September or something. Um, I think we'll all get a lot more out of it if we
Yeah.
approach it more in that either roundtable structure, maybe there's another idea too that works, but that one sounds good to me. Um,
Do we have an insight on what the strategic plan focus groups are asking? You said you haven't seen the questions. Can you get them to make sure they're
Yeah,
answering
Reach out
ones
to
that will
them.
give good
Yeah,
information? I'm
I
assuming they
think
will, but
I think the questions are embedded in the emails that I'm CC'd on, but there's a bajillion and and also the facilitator is facilitating that, like we're not there. So I'm trying to take a place of, connecting the bridges to the people of the community, but and the businesses, but not being involved in it. Let her do her work. Yeah, I can seek that in my inbox.
Okay,
Unless,
thank you.
does Paula have them right there? You
I
found
do.
them?
Oh, you
Are they
do?
in the
Oh,
emails,
okay.
Paula?
At least the last email that I
Okay.
received.
Okay.
And I don't know if they're different for the different groups.
They could be tweaked a
they're
little bit probably
gathering.
for, geography.
Yes,
so-
basically,
So should we say that when we came here today and we talked about it, but we'll just pause on these business visits then? Is that what I'm hearing? And I'm not trying to take away from the chair. Okay, let's do that, Mona, and then we can talk about looking ahead. Like, I think the last couple of meetings, there's been some things that we never anticipated as, liaisons to this committee that would have come up, like the CTE presentation and the one we had last month. I think there's a lot of value in that. I think we
Mhm.
learned a lot. And
Yep.
that's another thing that maybe what Mona and I were thinking is maybe these commission meetings, I always want meetings for people. It's like what I said to Gary, a nugget. I always want people, if they're taking time away from their job to meet with me and other people, that there's at least one nugget, hopefully more, that they walk away from, that they got something out of it. And I don't want them to go back to their business and go, that was an absolute waste of my time. Like, I don't want that. So I think here too, there might be some things that we can start to do. We can change the course a little bit here. Just because something's been done in the past doesn't mean that's what we're going to do in the future. And maybe it's sharing, maybe it's bringing people in to do presentations, letting like having the model train museum come in and have them do a presentation. So we can start to educate you guys, and then you can go out and be that ambassador in the community and learn more about what's coming. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. And that could be the next bullet of
I think,
work plan
I think
updates.
workforce development programs are very important because
Yeah.
we need people for jobs in the community,
Yeah.
but they need jobs to go to. And I think that was the point that he was making, was that we have a lot of people that can't find jobs.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of the role of this this committee or commission, is to how do we become a business friendly environment where we can bring more jobs for our local folks to work in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a component of it. Workforce development is a component, but if they get trained and there's no place to go, that's really, I think, what our job is how do we keep a business friendly environment and try to recruit businesses
Mhm.
that can provide jobs for residents in our community.
And I get accused by those I'm very close to of looking too far down the road, but I see something like this. Because of the nature of our business, I spend a lot of time talking to most of the communities in the Puget Sound or greater area because we service large parts of Western Washington as well. Duval, Monroe, Carnation, North Bend, it's all interconnected. We all know that. I'm not revealing anything. Maybe maybe this is getting politically tiger by the tail stuff. I have no idea because I'm not that deep in it, but you almost need economic people from those communities to be talking to each other as well. I'm not saying the city doesn't talk to other city. I'm sure they do. I'm sure the mayors are talking, and you do a really nice job from what I've seen of bringing other people in from other communities, especially North Bend, to the extent that we can talk about what's happening. There's also a turf factor there. I mean, we've all got to be really honest and transparent about those challenges. We've got our own sort of, downtown ridge challenges. they're obvious to everybody. They should be talked about. They could be transparent and discussed. And some of those bridges can't be crossed. Some of them are not built yet. And that's just a reality of it. And if you got adults in the room, let's hope we do, that you should be able to have those kind of conversations and make it more productive for everyone. There's gonna be roadblocks,
Yeah.
you know? Um,
Mona,
Anyway.
do you want to talk about the North Bend? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great segue
okay.
because we did have James Henderson from the city of North Bend reach out and ask if our EDC would be interested in meeting with their EDC and having a joint meeting
Sure.
sometime. So we were thinking maybe September might be a good month for that, unless you have other thoughts.
I think that's great. I've worked with James Henderson.
He's great.
For
Okay.
years before.
They
he
meet
was
at a
North
different
Bend.
time. I think there might be the lunch hour.
I think
and-
they're around the lunch hour. So which would be better for you to keep it early morning?
Yeah.
Because maybe we could host them
I would ask
to come here. Yeah.
these folks.
For me, I mean, I'm not the only person, but for me, morning is
Ideal.
far better.
Okay.
Okay. We'll reach out to him and see if their EDC would be willing to come here and maybe
Yeah.
we can have it.
I
Yeah.
would do it sooner than later.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the North Bend, this is my opinion, obviously, but the North Bend Snoqualmie synergy is huge. It could be. It could be
Yes.
ginormous.
Yeah.
Because what do they call this end of the valley? The upper valley or something? I hear another term for where we are versus the lower valley. Is it upper and lower or something like that? And I don't mean that to distinguish, but there's I think there's an upper community here that's already established. Half of my workers are from North Bend.
Yeah. Well, and
Uh,
Mona and I, we've had meetings with James and his team and what we want. Okay, obviously there's energy or friction with North Bend and Snoqualmie with the police department, but we don't want negative energy or negative friction with James and his team. Like we intersect, like we share Meadowbrook Farm, there's different things that we do together. And so we want to, have those good conversations, but August, and looking ahead at the calendar, August is usually a month where some of these meetings are paused for for summer. So we were thinking September with North Bend. It could be a little challenging to get that scheduled sooner than later, just because if they were saying, hey, come to Snoqualmie, 8 o'clock in the morning instead of North Bend for lunch. And then we do have for October, a holding space with Peter Hambling from the Model Train Museum. He would be coming in and doing a presentation on that project. So that's just kind of headlines of what we've got ahead.
We don't have anything for July
We
yet. I
don't.
mean, we could certainly check with North Bend to see if they'd be willing to.
I'll tell you why I think sooner than later.
Yeah.
Is that I'm a firm believer of when the fire's going, jump in it and you'll see how hot it is. September and October, what do you guys like to call it? Shoulder months or something?
It's going into
More
shoulder season,
things,
tourism,
excuse my
yeah.
throat, but there's stuff going on right now, right? And I think most of it's good. And no better time to talk about the future than when people are feeling high on certain things that aren't working or are working. Sure, it can make the meeting a little more challenging, but I think that's why are we here if we're not willing to take on some challenging and value stuff? And
Okay.
as they say, things worth having, they don't
Well,
come easily.
we'll reach out to North Bend, and then, if we have to end up picking a day that's different than this day, we'll get with you guys all. And that's just a matter of noticing the meeting, that it's a special meeting, if it's a date change or a time change, but we'll try to adhere to this. I just don't know if they can pivot.
I'll move my
Okay.
schedule around for something like that. I think
keep you guys
that's rich
posted.
value stuff. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, and even though it's territorial, economic development, like I always say about relationships, and the lines blur across jurisdictions because people live, work, and play in different cities. So it's
Yeah.
important to all be on the same page. So I think this
Yeah.
is amazing. And James Henderson, way back when he was with Bellevue, when
Yeah.
I was with Redmond, we created the Innovation Triangle, which was a joint economic development effort for business recruitment.
It was
So,
Redmond, Bellevue, and Kirkland, wasn't it?
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
I'll plant a seed. You just reminded me of something that I think is kind of interesting. In fact, Adrian was one of these businesses that fits what I'm going to describe. I've had several businesses approach our company saying, hey, we have these times of the year, excuse me, when we can't keep everybody with 30 hours or 25 hours or whatever they're doing and stuff like that. And we have a little bit different cycle than a lot of the other businesses. And I haven't really executed on this, but it's a clever idea. It's like, hey, what if Billy and Susan could come and work for you for 3 months and pick up 10 hours to do something that they were able to do or whatever. There's so many things, and I know that's a little tactical, but at the end of the day, there's so many things that I think these communities, because we literally are right next door to each other, that we could support each other on a business side. And I think it would help the politics. I think it would help everything. I really do. Anyway, I'm just adding fuel to what I think is already an interesting idea that we all buy into. But I think that would be a very cool. That just manifest itself in the last month or so, or
The
the
potential
idea
for
of
a
North
meeting.
Bend getting together.
It was I think a James suggestion, and Oklahoma and I were completely open to it. Again, we don't have an adversarial relationship with them. We all bring something to the table of a skill or experience, and how do we leverage that and work with each other,
Sure.
to do that.
Yeah.
There's times where, and if people know me, there's times where I work for Snoqualmie, I represent Snoqualmie. I do. The Snoqualmie taxpayers do pay my salary. But if there's ever times to collaborate or play nice on the playground in North Bend, I'll do it. But again, I'm looking out for Snoqualmie. But I think that when there's times to collaborate and be good neighbors, why would we ignore that? You
Yeah.
know?
And that's an interesting point, because that makes sense. I mean, if you're doing city stuff, you're doing city stuff. That makes sense. Recognize that everybody here cross-pollinates to some extent, whether it's through employees
Yeah.
or through business execution. And I think those can live together compatibly. I don't think that, yeah. I've never thought of there being an adversarial relationship between North Bend and Snoqualmie. I just know that I see challenges or hear challenges, and sometimes certain people aren't talking to each other.
Yeah.
And certainly solvable.
Your idea, Gary, was super interesting. And I worked at a hospital during COVID, of course. And during that time, certain departments were shut down, and we had staff that we didn't want to let go of. We wanted to help them keep providing for their families and stuff. So what the different departments did was create a labor pool
Yeah.
where we said when they were available and things like that. And then different departments could borrow them, which
Right.
was, I mean, kind of essentially what you're talking about. And it
Well,
worked really well, kept
it's-
people busy. And then the departments didn't lose their staff. They got to
Right.
hold on to them and bring them back when they were able to.
For sure.
So it's kind
Yeah.
of really
I
interesting
think
idea.
there's a lot of stuff out there. We just don't hear other people bring it up because they don't have a forum,
Mhm.
you know?
And I think that's what it is, Gary, is a forum, because there's a lot, you guys are all connected, but there's a lot of businesses that are out there just doing it on their own solo because they don't have relationships that they've built, or they're just so buried and just trying to keep their head above water. They don't even know what's out there. If you don't know, you can't do better.
That's right.
So how do you help people? And that also is one of my goals, is in meeting with you and getting out in the public, is just trying to build connections and help people. And
I think that model that you've been doing now for a little while it's probably done elsewhere and I'm not aware of it, but I think that's awesome. I've learned a lot about things I didn't know were going on around the area with the merchants meeting. So,
thanks.
yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
trying to, I try to bring my little, we've tried to do field trips. We're going to go to Snow King in July, but also bring people with me. Like last week, it was the police and Mona's come. Like, it's kind of like it's not a traveling road show, but I'm bringing an expert, someone that like asks questions. Cause I'm not a subject matter expert. These guys are, and they don't always want to hear from me. They want to hear from Mona. They want to hear from police departments. I think that I just want to I want to give people value. I want to give them knowledge. I want to give them information. So, because when you know better, you do better.
I also found some small business owners, if they don't have time during the day, because a lot of times when you visit them, it's not always the owner that's there on site, right, too. But they usually, from our organization, the information we put out there, they usually look for information in the middle of the night, like 2 in the morning, because that's when their brain is like, oh my gosh, I got to find something out. And they're searching for information. And I'm just wondering, maybe as we move along, maybe there's a site on the page, like here's the latest updates, or here's what we learned, just kind of a recap that can be accessed by people to give them resources and knowledge, potentially. Just my 2 cents.
Okay, great. We'll reach out. I'll reach out to North Bend today and see if we can get something on the schedule.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
This would be great.
Okay.
Right.
And then
Okay.
We're
So-
tabling the questions, right?
Sounds
We're
like
tabling the business
we
visits for
heard
now.
you
Do we
and
need
we're
to-
acting
okay.
on what we heard.
Okay,
Do
perfect.
we need to take action on that, or is that okay? Just
That's
okay.
fine.
All right, perfect. All right, so moving on to the next item on the agenda is the upcoming schedule and work plan update. Which I
I think we
don't
just
think I printed
kinda
out. So-
I
hashed
think
out
we
a
kind
little
of
bit.
hashed that out. Nicole and I were discussing this last week, and thank you, Michelle, for the presentation today. That was really informative. And please don't give up on me. You're still on my radar. We just need to get staffed up a little bit so we have somebody to mentor, somebody that wants to come in. So no meeting in July. We'll check with North Bend. Typically, as Nicole said, August, everybody takes a break. They cancel the second council meeting. Oh, sorry.
You said no meeting in July. You meant no meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. No meeting in August. We don't know what we're doing yet in July. So I was gonna try to, spark that conversation. Like, does anybody have any ideas for, what would be a good topic for July's agenda? We can try to get North Bend here. If they're not available, do we have other ideas of things that would be good to have
Yeah, commissioner interest.
agenda?
We
Yeah.
can bring speakers in or.
Well, I think, oh, go ahead.
No, I won't be here in July, so I don't want to put any good ideas out there.
And Adrian and Gary may have some other, but I think our biggest thing that we should be thinking about is bringing foot traffic to our small businesses. And whatever, if there's anything around that that's worthy to talk about, to push forward, I think that's important. I mean, how is summertime? Is probably okay, or is it
I mean, when
No.
kids are out of school, that's our slow time.
slow time? Okay, so I mean,
Better for you, summer.
What's that?
Summertime.
I don't really have a better. I mean, sure, I would argue January is my quietest month, but we also kind of shut things down because there's things we have to do to
Mm.
keep our manufacturing side
Yeah.
sharp and all that. Yeah, at the end of the day, do my summer numbers, are they higher? But I don't sit there and get nervous in February or December or anything like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say we're fairly even, if that's the question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So we have, foot traffic figuring out, maybe that's more of a tourism question. You got 2 million plus visitors that go to the falls. How do we draw them into restaurants or retail? I know we've been doing some signage that's better. But yeah, I don't know what's on the agenda for the city to try to help with that, because I think that's probably the number one issue facing our small businesses.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I think
and actually, one thing,
Rising costs.
Are we allowed to do A-frame signs at all, like off of Snoqualmie Parkway? I think you said that you weren't allowed to do that.
I got in trouble with the city. 'Cause
Yeah.
I put an A-frame on the corner and I said, well, how come the church can put an
Mhm.
A-frame out there?
Mhm.
But
I'll look
There-
into that.
There is.
I know.
I think it's an ROA thing.
Well,
up
it's,
there.
the ROA has some very tight signage policies.
Right.
We do as well. Yeah.
Maybe that's a topic of a roundtable discussion.
And the one thing I always tell groups is nothing is allowed in the median parkway. Political signs are allowed, but that's it. So we always have to take those out, but we do have a tight signage policy.
Now
That's Snoqualmie.
we don't have to get into the weeds on that, but it seems to me that's a policy up there, but not down here, because there's all kinds of A-frame signs down here in the city.
I will say that it's a code enforcement issue, and we've got our code enforcement officer wears about 5 hats, and he and Mona are the 2 people in that department. So his number one priority is not driving around picking up A-frames, but if you see them, it doesn't always mean that they're supposed to be there. There are some special permits for businesses that are on falls.
Which
They
is-
can have a permit to have an A-frame on railroad.
Is there something that the city can do to indicate on Parkway that there are restaurants and retail there?
We wouldn't be calling out specifically any restaurant names. We've got the generic signing on the wayfinding on those signs, but We'd have to look at the sign code.
I'll look
That
at
would
the
be-
sign
yeah.
code and I'll try to bring an update back.
But you're looking into that a little bit now, aren't you, with these street signs that point people to the
wayfarers.
brewery and some other things?
The wayfinding signs.
Oh, you're right, Gary. We did look at that. And there was
Yeah.
a resolution that we found back in the day that they could pay to have a sign, right? That was
That was for.
that was the outcome of last week's
The
meeting.
WashDOT signage. I think.
No, maybe we didn't say it out loud in the meeting, but Mike Chambliss, our city administrator, found a former resolution that there was I don't know, never get my words right, a policy inside the city that, and we saw some of those signs evident up on the parkway, that they could have the little blade signs and they could pay to have a blade sign
Yeah.
directing to their business. We discovered that. We did not change over in staff in many years.
Mhm.
Mona and I were like, what? We didn't know how that had started.
So is that in play, right? Because
I think that's something Mona's gonna have to look at because I doubt that that was taken off the books. I'm sure it was put on the books, but then again, people changed and didn't know what happened with that.
That
So,
would be amazing.
Like to see that policy.
Yeah, so if there's something like, yes, that's allowed, I mean, that's worthy of the city going door to door to all those businesses.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for you.
I mean, there would be a strategy in how those were put up just because you can't have, I mean, then sign clutter becomes an issue. But if there was one pole with maybe 5 blade signs that like when I say blade sign, it's just the one long piece.
Mhm.
So, there you go, Mona, because you don't have enough action items or homework items. Maybe when that new planner arrives in July, you could put him on that.
Yes, we do have a new
I
planner
I
coming.
will
yeah.
heighten, No Boat Brewing is not really bent on whether I probably wouldn't do a sign. I don't think we need to. But I know there's lots of businesses that would like, man, we should have something that pointed somebody my way, because especially to your point of the falls, you got 2+ million people coming.
Yeah.
You got all this activity and traffic. Look at the traffic on this road.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking, I think, for all businesses, the ones that would like it would probably love to do something.
There
And you talk,
probably would be more desire than capacity as well.
it could be,
Yeah.
and that might be the
Yeah.
governor that says, hey, here's what we got.
Mhm.
What we can do is we can have, I'm making it up, but shopping this way.
Mhm.
Well, people that are here on the train or doing whatever, they say, oh, there's more shopping that way.
Mhm.
Whatever. I don't know the right way to do it, not calling that out, but as opposed to each individual name being, on this huge wreck, because I agree, at some point that becomes sign pollution and it's like nobody's seeing it because it's so obvious, right?
Well, one of the things I did at the splash pad on the second day is I took and put up I got it from the chamber, but I put an A-frame that has the QR code for the chamber app and put that there so that people could use the QR code and find out, where can I get food? Where
Mm.
does this mom from Maple Valley? She's like, what do I want to eat when I'm here with my kids? So there's some things like that we can do. We've got an A-frame at the falls that they put up there for us last year. It was for the downtown merchants had it was their A-frame. So there's some things that if we can bend the rules or get around in it, those are some things that we can try to do. I don't want to say I'm bending
I
the
think
rules as a government
kind of
employee.
efforts would be very valued by the business
Yeah.
community and again, be on the road to building a strong relationship with them. There's also that empty parking lot that's on the Parkway and Railroad.
We call that Gateway
has
Park.
overflow
Yeah.
for Snoqualmie Falls.
Yes.
And there should be like, go get your food here. If that's owned by the city, there should be signage, whatever is allowed of, here's where you can get food.
Yeah,
and
that
go
would be a good
shopping.
opportunity. That would be another spot that we
Yeah.
could put an A-frame sign that
Yeah.
has the app. So
Yep.
I'll see if the chamber has an extra A-frame on that.
And only if the A-frame sign is allowed.
Yeah, that's where,
Maybe it's a permanent sign.
yeah.
I did look up
just
the
wanna-
resolution and it didn't address A-frame signs. It was all about wayfinding signs and banner signs.
The one that allowed for the blade signs, you mean, or something
The-
different?
It didn't allow, well, for wayfinding, banner signs, blade signs, but no A-frame signs. It didn't mention those.
Well, and there's an issue
2017.
at the intersections up on the ridge with A-frame signs because of ADA access. That's also one of the things, like when we're doing special event permits for Red, White, and Boom, that kind of thing. We have to be very specific what they can and can't do, and that's for ADA access
Mm.
and sight lines for vehicles. it's a whole thing.
I think finding out what can be done.
Yeah, what
as soon
can
as
we do?
Possible, while all these millions of people are driving by, as many people that we can have drive off and spend money in our small businesses, I think is extremely important.
I just want to echo that. I think if somebody said, what are the top 3 issues in the business community in Snoqualmie right now? Because I hear it all the time, is traffic. Is not traffic, so.
Foot traffic,
sorry.
customers.
There's a lot of people cruising through this area. And
Cruising
not a
through,
lot
yeah.
kind of guiding them to, hey, you want to hang out and have a cup of coffee? You want to come by and have a beer? You want to go get some food? You want to do this? I don't know if it's really obvious to everybody. I got to tell you, a little short story. Huckstadter opened up over here. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to over there, and it's classic coffee shop. Hey, how's your day going? What are you doing this morning or whatever? And I usually just say, well, I'm going into work or whatever. And of course it leads to, well, where do you work? I'd say 9 out of 10 people don't even know No Boat Brewing is right up the hill.
Right.
It's amazing to me.
It is unfortunately amazing. I have found that to be very not good information. with
Yeah, and
Working in
it's
this
like, well,
community, the
wow.
amount of the people that don't come down and the amount of people that don't go up,
Yeah.
particularly if people don't have kids that go to high school, they could live their whole lives up there
Mhm.
and never come down.
Right.
So it made me think I do want to give you guys an update about the pharmacy. We've talked about this in some meetings. Mona and I have built a relationship with Roger, who is the leasing manager of Bartels. So they are closed. They are very disappointed that CVS did not opt to come into that location. He has limits as to what he can put in that building based on non-compete or agreements with Safeway. For instance, a Trader Joe's can't go in there. An International Market cannot go in there because of Safeway. So we have a pharmacy in Snoqualmie. We have compounding, but it's not your traditional pharmacy. They also have a non-compete with a pharmacy in North Bend. So she wouldn't even be able to change up her what she does as a pharmacist because of the non-compete. Just a few little tidbits too. In a population of 12,000 people, there should be 2 pharmacies. So we're not there because the compounding pharmacy, doesn't hit all those marks. The hospital, as part of their expansion, the building that they're going to put across from the main building in a year or so, will have a retail pharmacy, but there is a gap in time, of what we have. So Roger is working, the goal would be to get a pharmacy in there, but the pharmacy business has changed. Big pharma and insurance companies and all that make it really difficult for pharmacies to survive. The way that they can pay their rent and pay their staff isn't really the reimbursement or the cost that they get for the prescriptions. It's for all of the add-on sales that they get. So it's a real challenge. So we're here to say we're hopeful. Maybe we can get some sort of pharmacy in there, or maybe Safeway could then, put a pharmacy in there. We just don't know. It's not looking great, and it's not looking like anything's going to be in there soon. But we're having conversations to also be deliberate about what does go in there, so that what goes in there, if it's not a pharmacy, what is it, and does it benefit our community?
Who owns the land, the building?
I'm not sure of the company escapes me, commercial real
I can't
estate.
think of that
I
either.
can't think of the name of it. When Safeway came into the community, Bartels came in. So Safeway gave up square footage that in a traditional store would be a pharmacy, and they have additional deli square footage. So I think that might be the first conversation that he would be having would be with the Safeway Corporation. But
Is Rogers is he the owner?
he's the commercial agent.
Oh, Panos Properties.
Panos,
Mhm. So
So I'm sorry, Roger is who again?
the commercial real estate
Commercial.
representative.
The
He's
leasing manager.
representing the developer?
The Bartels building.
it's the Bartels building.
Oh, so he's working for Bartels.
No, he's working for the person that owns the building to
Oh,
try to
okay.
get the
So
right
no,
thing in
that's
there.
cool. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's an update. It's not a great update, but it's
Yeah.
what we were able to find out. And we're doing what we can. I mean, we're obviously not commercial real estate people, so we're trying to do what we can and try to look out for the best interest of the community and get the right thing in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, kind of sobering. Sorry, guys.
No, no, that's the climate today.
Mhm.
All right, so any other items of commissioner interest that we'd like to talk about? I think we talked about a lot of really exciting things, and I like our proactive thinking on this commission,
Yeah.
so.
Is it too much to ask? Can we get some feedback on the signage issue at our next meeting?
Absolutely. Yes, I'll bring that back to you.
Okay.
Out-of-the-box thinking, welcome.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
All right, all right. So since we made it through the agenda, it is time to adjourn. All right, meeting adjourned.